All right, and we are live. Welcome everybody to the Rogue Hangout. It's Alesha Drew here, and I am joined today by the lovely Stephanie Park down there. And John Paul Argentino will be joining us shortly. We want to welcome you again to the new year, 2015. And if it's your first time with us, we want to welcome you. And if you have any comments or questions, you can leave them below this video. And don't forget to hit that like button. We'd love to hear from you. So today's topic is how to tell a compelling story. Storytelling, how to attract the right customer to your business. Now, I particularly love this topic because I was the person that thought I didn't have a story. So that's the first thing I want to say in this hangout today is that everybody has a story. It doesn't matter how joyous or happy or dramatic it is, everybody has a story. Now for me personally, I thought I didn't have a story because it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't painful. And I thought to myself, well, if it's not like that, then who would want to hear it? Who would want to listen to it? Who would want to be inspired by my story? And through the training that I learned, I realized that I do have a story. And I started to think back at all of the inspirational speakers and leaders that I'd listened to over the years and all of the events that I'd been to. And you know what I remembered more than anything else? Was the stories that they told. You know, I'm an avid note taker. I would always take notes when I'm at events, and I still do to this very day. But with the stories people would tell, I didn't have to take notes because I would always remember the story. And why is that? Why do we remember stories? You know, there's the good old saying that, you know, the facts tell, but stories sell. And why is that? And if you think about it, it's because people can connect and relate to stories. You know, people can think to themselves, wow, I had that experience, or I experienced something similar. You know, I felt that pain. I know the struggle that you're going through. I know the desperation, you know, that you went through in that stage of your life. And, you know, for thousands of years, even before the English language was created, you know, stories have been passed down from generations to generations. You know, kids to adults, stories have been told, and, you know, it burns the message, it burns the point into people's minds when stories are told, and it captures the hearts and minds of everybody. So I wanted to kind of pre-frame where we're going with this hangout today and how important it is to tell your story. And if you're somebody out there that hasn't told your story yet or doesn't think that you have one, it's our intention by the end of this hangout to instill the belief in you that you do have a story, and there's thousands of people out there that are waiting for you to tell it, and they're waiting for you to inspire them and, you know, capture their hearts and minds with the message, with the pitch, with the story, you know, with the point that you have to tell. So with that being said, I think I'd like to pass it over to Stephanie to share a little bit of her story on exactly how and, you know, why she made the decision to start working online and get herself involved in the community we're a part of, and also a few little tips and tricks on storytelling. So take it away, Stephanie.
Hi everyone, good to see you, Alesha, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful weekend, and I'm sure some of you guys are having a Monday off to celebrate and I'll observe Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So I thought it was a great way to start and, you know, borrow the idea of Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, I have a dream, right? And so I thought that was a great place to begin. Now, the main point that kind of solidified my belief in making a decision to work at home, stay at home, and work online, building relationships and doing business by online marketing, came from this one experience that I had with my first daughter. Okay. Throughout all my life, I wanted to become a mother. I don't know, I'm sure it may sound silly to some people, but to me, I felt that it would be my ultimate fulfillment to become that perfect mother, right? And my dream came true when I was 34. I had my first child at 34, and she came out with some medical difficulties. And I come from a background of being an educator. I love being around children. I love, teaching in the classroom. I love to do a lot of outreach and nonprofit organization things. Anything that involved with children, I was there. But when my first girl was born, everything just came to a standstill. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know how to go about raising my daughter. And the perfect image that I had about being a mother, a wonderful mother, it just crumbled down. Okay? So what I did was I went online and I Google searched and I searched on the internet, and I got some ideas, and some were great, some were not so great, but I was, willing to get in anything and everything to learn. I was in that learn mentality, right? And then after I learned, I started blogging to help people out. And then when I blog things about child development, things kind of got interesting. That there were parents coming, visiting my WordPress blog. There, people were commenting and showing appreciation, and it was great. But what happened to me was, while I was getting information and while I had this idea of helping somebody, I was taken away from my main focus, which was being there for my child. And I didn't like it. And I didn't like the idea of juggling. So, and I felt as though that I had to compromise. I had to choose. And I didn't want to choose. Okay? So what I was looking for was, I wanted to learn the way to have time freedom, be there for my kids, and be able to have a supplemental income to, provide things so that I could stay home with my child, right? So I went in further and I searched online, and then I bought a few classes here and there. And then what ended up happening was that I had all these mentors, like millionaire marketers, telling me, try this, try that. And when I followed their things, I lost my identity. I lost myself. So I said, okay, there's another way. So I didn't give up there. I continued searching. And then somehow I ended up with Dave Wood. Dave Wood's, one of Dave Wood's, I think it was Dave Wood's site. It was the Power Network site, but it was where Dave Sharp was sharing his story about the way he was living his life and about his daughter and how he overcame his struggles. And that story got to me. So that caught my attention, and I read further and I listened further. And then that was the moment I realized Dave Sharp and Dave Wood had the heart, had the desire, had this plan to help me somehow get my business going and have my time freedom and be able to be there for my kids without ever losing my identity or feeling guilty. So that was about little less than 2 years ago, and I continued on. That caught, Dave Sharp and Dave Wood's story caught my attention, and their story was aligned with what I wanted. And then that helped me make a decision. It wasn't about the products, it wasn't about the plans, it wasn't about how much money I was going to make. It was their story that caught my attention. So that's how I got started into the Empower Network business.
Yeah, that's great, Stephanie. And so what would you say was the core desire of why you got started? I know that you mentioned your family and your kids, knowing where you were going, and then you lost your identity, and now that you feel you've refound that again, what was the actual core desire of why you wanted to start working online and you know, provide your own economy for yourself instead of working for somebody else? What was the core desire for that?
I think my core desire was to be there for the kids. And in order for me to be there for the kids, I have to, you know, the reason I went to work was to make money, to make the payments, pay the bills, right? And provide safety and security for my family. Okay? And my core desire wasn't so much focused on paying the bills. It was more on what can I do? How can I provide a time where my children will have a mother? Meaning, you know, the mother's love, mother's attention, mother, you know, the time I spent, memories I create with my kids, something that will imprint in their, I would say, lifestyle, to help them remember when I was young, my mom was there for us. That was my core desire. I wanted to have that. I wanted to give that to my kids. And me having, yes, sometimes, you know, I have to be a self-motivator, and sometimes I have to be, you know, maintain the schedule, and I have to be strict with myself, right? However, I never second-guessed on will I ever stop and look for something else to do. That never crossed my mind, because I made a decision that I wanted to be here for the kids, and I just needed a tool, an outlet, or some sort of a a means to produce income. It wasn't necessary, okay, I have to do this in order to make money. It's like, okay, how am I going to make money so I can, you know, provide the foundational things so I can have whatever I want to have.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome, Stephanie. I love that. I mean, you know, there's so many parents out there, and there might be some out there right now that, you know, don't have the opportunity to stay at home and spend, you know, precious time with their kids because they're working so hard and they don't see them that often. So I know that that's a huge why for many people as to why they get started online, is they want to provide, you know, a lifestyle for their kids and be there for their kids and actually spend time with them as they're growing up, because you don't get that time back with your kids. Once it's gone, it's gone. You know, and you obviously got to a point where you desperately wanted that, and you made the decision, and you stuck with that decision and committed to that decision, which is awesome. So, you know, and you just telling that story right now, that story empowers me. That story inspires me to move forward, because I saw that you made a decision, and it's something that you're going to follow through with no matter what, to leave a legacy for your kids, which is great. So moving forward, if you guys want to grab, you know, a pen and a piece of paper, I want to give you guys the formula for actually creating a compelling story. And there's 3 parts to that. And, you know, I want to keep it quite basic, but there are three parts to that. And the first part is, what was it like? What is it like? It's the first part of the story. Now, this first part of the story, what is it like, is the part where you're going to demonstrate the pain. You're going to demonstrate the pain and struggle of what you were going through at the time before you made the decision to change anything. So what was happening in your life that led you to make a decision? What was the pain? What was the frustration? What was the struggle that you were going through at that time? So that's what the emotional bridge here is, and that's the first part of the formula, which is, what is it like? Now, the second part is, what happened? Okay, the second part is what happened. Now this is going to demonstrate the actual solution, what you discovered. So this is actually going to give you an emotional bridge to hope and possibility. It's going to instill in others that there is a solution out there to their struggle and pain. There is a solution to their problem. And you're going to demonstrate that through sharing what it is you discovered, what it is you found. So that's part number 2, what happened. And part number 3 is what is it like now? Okay? What is it like now? And this is the third part of your story. And this is where you're going to demonstrate your results, your positive outcome. What is it that actually happened after you took action and made the decision to solve your problem? Now, this is going to emotionally bridge to certainty. Okay, it's going to emotionally bridge to confidence that you're going to instill in the person who's listening to your story. So they're the 3 parts to the formula. What it was like, what happened, and what is it like now? Okay, it's pretty simple when you think about it. And I think a lot of people not only struggle with not knowing whether they have a story or not, which everybody does, they also struggle with what part of the story they should be telling. You know, you don't have to tell the entirety of your lifetime story, especially if you only have a few minutes to tell it. Okay, you need to choose sections of your story that are going to relate to the person who's listening to it. Okay, and we can tell stories in multiple ways. We can tell stories the way we are right now on a live video, which is extremely powerful. You know, we can tell stories through text, through our blogging. We can tell stories over audio, okay, over the radio, that kind of thing. You know, people can hear stories in different ways. You know, some people resonate visually, some people resonate auditorily, and some people resonate linguistically. So there's so many different ways to tell your story, and you only need to choose certain parts of it to tell for that particular audience. Okay, so I wanted to share that with you today to kind of break down how to actually tell a compelling story and what are the basic mechanics that actually go into it. And another area I want to share is once you've got that formula down, you want to think about who it is you're actually wanting to influence with your story. Who is it? Who is your target market? Who is the person that's going to resonate with what you're saying? Because I could tell a part of my story to someone, and then I could tell that exact same story to somebody else, and it might only resonate really highly with one person and not the other, depending on different reasons, different factors. So think about who it is that you want to influence with your story. And the next part is, why do you want to influence that person with your story? What do you want them to do? Like, why? What's the reason behind it? And then you have to think about what you're actually going to influence them to do. What is it that you want them to do once you've told your story? Do you want them to purchase a particular product or service? Do you want to just get across an idea? Do you just want to get across a message? What feelings, what emotions do you want to instill in that particular person? Is it inspiration? Is it power? Is it confidence? You know, what is it? So that's really the basics of compelling storytelling. You know, I'll go back and recap over that one more time. The formula is, you know, what it was like, what happened, and what is it like now. And then you want to think about who you're trying to influence and why you're trying to influence them and what you want to influence them to do now. And perfect timing as John Paul joins us here.
It's okay. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's okay. I'm actually pretty much done with that section here. It's funny, you just sat down and now the lights are all yellow on the screen. You see that? We just had a lighting change.
Nope. I see it now on our screen, but
yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, we don't have an ugly ass yellow wall, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know that you covered, the formula, like the 3-step formula. It's actually really simple. I know that you covered that one as well. What were you just going over?
Well, yeah, I covered the formula, and then I was talking about, how to actually influence people, like what it is, who are you actually trying to influence, and why are you trying to influence them, and what you want to influence them to do next, whether it's through purchasing a product, getting a message across, a point across, that type of thing. So, and Stephanie was just sharing a little bit of her story about how she actually got started online and what made her make the decision.
And that was her children, correct?
Yes.
There
I think she's muted there, actually.
Yeah.
You have to unmute yourself there.
Okay. You're better now?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually heard that when I was in the background. I actually heard that part. So I was actually paying attention back there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think, too, with storytelling, I think Alesha had covered this, too, that with effective storytelling, through telling your story, especially if you're kind of quote-unquote new in this space, if you are, through telling your story, what can happen is you'll realize that you even have one, number one. Number two, who you connect with. And through inspiring people, the people will just touch base on stuff and then go, oh, well, that person's, I'm just like that. That happened to me. And, a lot of people will focus on a lot of the differences in life, and through storytelling we can focus on the commonalities with everything. And those commonalities, you could have, I'm going to go really rough when I do this one here, but when you can have some very opposing viewpoints. And there is an actual picture of, I saw this on Twitter, and I don't even know why I was on Twitter, because I'm not on there very often, but I was flipping around through there, and I saw this thing going viral, and it was a lady that had an opposing viewpoint about religion, and she doesn't like liberals, and I don't know the whole backstory. I really don't know enough about it. But bottom line is, she stood there because someone made a comment that said she didn't have guns, Bibles, and the American flag all in one picture, one tweet to show But so she posted up this picture of it, and someone then comments back with another post of someone with a Quran and the same gun that she was holding up and their flag behind them, and it was almost identical. So circumstances could have been, if that person was born somewhere else, they would have been basically fighting for their religion in the same way that that person was fighting for what they believed in. Two totally opposing viewpoints, but commonalities in the same. But we think that they're extreme on everything that they're talking about, but when it boils down to it, it's actually commonality. It's fundamentalism. They're fundamentally the same, and that's how we are through storytelling. We're actually fundamentally the same. So regardless of where you're at, if you've been through abuse, if you've been through domestic violence, if you've been through drug and alcohol addiction, some people don't have that type of stuff in their life. I know that Alesha didn't really have to deal with that much at all in her life, and she came from a very supportive family. She was able to live her dream in her life, and it was something where if you're that way, you think, well, I'm just the average Joe. There's nothing for me. And this is what's cool. I used to be the person that would sit on the couch. And you remember the show Intervention that was on A&E? There used to be a TV show called A&E. And it would be this big old thing about, you got this total, just detriment to society as a whole, just shooting smack in their arms, neglecting their kids, just making a total ass out of themselves in every which way of the sense. And then the family has their intervention. And they're like, Joe, if you don't stop it, I will do this, 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 and this. But yeah, you would watch this stuff and you'd be like, oh my goodness, this is real people. But the only reason I used to watch the show because they would have there was a show right after it called like the First 48, which is about like how they have to solve like crimes for murders. So I was hooked to that show for a long time. I was just like, ah, man, like I'd just like to see what made people do these heinous things. Like, but back to this other show. So there was a little bit of like I could have left it as an open loop there and kept going into the story if I wanted to. But back to the other show, they would be
Take a picture.
yeah. There was on the show Intervention. What would happen though is I would get pissed because these people would get like totally sober again. They go live in like this thing, and I was like, well, what about the dude or the lady who every day is like just misconsistent or Mr. Consistent in their life? They're doing the right thing. You know, they've got what appears to be a decent job. They've got a somewhat stable family. You know, I was like, what? Those are the real champions in our society. You know, I was really, really pissed watching this show. At first I was kind of laughing. Then the more I watched it, I was just like, these assholes. Like, I took a lot of offense to it. And I was like, I can't watch this crap anymore because I felt like these people were, like I felt like they always had the spotlight for just having such a horrible thing that they overcame. Mm-hmm. And then I was just like, well, I can't compete with the drug addict, and you know, like what am I gonna do? Mm-hmm. You know, do I have to go out and just become a total bum? Like, what do I do? You know? And it was always the person that would come back. Oh, that's a horrible picture you just took. But I would go back and just think about it and go, well, what do I have to do? You know, so then I wouldn't even want to compete with that. I'm going, well, there's no competition there. I was like, but what it made me realize was this. It made me realize that we're actually the same in a lot of ways. I started trying to find the commonalities in that. And it was through some of their stories and stuff that I would actually relate more to the people on the outside, like that were the family members that were. I started relating to those people, and then I would find the relationship in there, and then I realized that I'm actually the champion for other people around me. People would actually come to me to fix a lot of their problems, and it's been like that a lot in my life. I realized was that a lot of people I'd be the fixer. I'm good at just fixing stuff. And then if you're the person that's always good at fixing stuff, and then you turn back around and you realize that, well, you look around and you're going, well, wait a minute. Like, I actually need help here too. And it's okay. You know, it's through telling that story of what you've gone through, whether you're helping somebody else out or what you've basically been your whole life. If you've been the supporter, if you've been the rock in your family, if you've been you know, the rock in your job, you know, especially like if you're someone that's out there that's in middle management, in some sense, you have one of the hardest jobs that has to have the most skill sets and the most, I guess, perseverance in it as well to basically hold everything together around you. Being in middle management kind of sucks. It's kind of like being in the middle of a family and things are kind of broken apart around you and you're just holding it all together. That's a very tough place to be in. So if you are in any of those spots, you know, you do have a story. It's just finding the commonalities with it. A lot of like that kind of stuff boils down to being like, well, most of the time it turns out to be, you know, this is what I had. You know, I had to do every day. I had to wake up in the morning. I had to, you know, splash my face with water. I had to leave, you know, 3 hours in the morning to drive in traffic that totally sucked. You know, and I had to do this day in, day out. Whatever it is, until one day you made a decision. What happened? You know, you made a decision, and you were certain that things were going to change in your life in some way. And then you started going to work. You put in the hard work. You know, this is not a bling. A lot of people think that when you start going to like attraction marketing. Now, attraction marketing is different than online marketing, and I want to clear that up a little bit too. A lot of people will go on, and I feel sorry for a lot of people that do this. Well, they claim to be an online marketer. I was listening to Dan Kennedy actually said this, and this is one that really changed my perception on it. He's like, you know what, I truly feel sorry for people that actually think that they're just online marketers. Well, we're marketers in every sense of the word. we're marketing and advertising shapes our world that we're around. And to limit yourself and box yourself into one form or one modality is actually suicidal. It really is. Like for a true business, it's actually really, really suicidal. And when I hear some people that say, well, I'm an online marketer, either A, you're like a damn good one, or B, you're a total newbie. And that's one of like the characteristics that I've ran into, because you really are. And I kind of feel sorry sometimes. I agree with Dan on that one as well, is that you can't lock yourself into that. But back to storytelling. Storytelling is something where it's finding the common ground. Some of the best presidents in the world, some of the world leaders, they actually have people that write their speeches and stuff for them. They're very well spoken in how to actually memorize speeches and give speeches. Not much of it is actually their own words. Which is kind of scary if you think about it, because I could go and hire a speechwriter and just memorize stuff and just basically become the world's best actor just with a huge stage and really shape the world. And that's what's scary about storytelling. You can use it in good ways, and you can also use it in really bad ways when you're good at things. And I've said this before in different hangouts, but you just look at what Hitler did through storytelling. He also did through other means of why you will follow me, but that's the extreme part of it. And then you've got things like people like Gandhi, but Gandhi wasn't really much of a storyteller. He was more of a peace activist through just silence. He was kind of Buddhist in a way. So there's different things with storytelling, but the common ground of what you find really makes you realize that I'm not that different than a lot of people out there, and then you'll just relate. We're really in the people business more than anything else. And just knowing how people work, a lot of people just want validation in their life more than anything else. All they want to do is just be uplifted. They just want to be brought up. And they want recognition for some of the smaller things. It's normally not even some of the bigger things in life. They just want recognition for some of the small things, whether people that sometimes we don't put out there, like how successful a campaign was, or especially if you're working by yourself, your husband or wife or your partner or spouse, no one's really going to know how good or bad you're really doing unless you talk to people about it and be like, I just smashed that out of the park, or I just bombed this campaign, or whatever it is. Just take the shots on everything, because if you don't, you're going to miss all the shots you don't take in life. You truly will on it. But I'm going to grab a drink, because I'm going to have to grab a drink real fast. Okay. I'll be right back, guys. I got to get a drink. I got some water.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, the lighting changed again.
Yeah, you see that. What's going on here? Now back to the white, and then when John joins in, the wall turns yellow. It's very strange.
I got color-changing paint. We've
got color-changing paint on the wall, or Google is putting some special tips and
it's probably because of my
tricks
shirt
going on. I think it might be your shirt. The color is reacting. It's very interesting. I've never had that happen on a Google Hangout. It's quite amusing, actually.
Called it. There you go. We're good.
I read it.
Yeah, so, I just went blank there for a moment. Oh, we're back to white again. Don't know what's happening.
We're good.
There's a very interesting fact of, when you're listening to a motivational speaker, when you're at an event, listening to somebody tell a story, or it doesn't even need to be at an event. It doesn't even need to be at, some big thing where there's hundreds of people watching. It could be, listening to your partner or your children or anybody, sitting across from you. But the facts are that, the person who's listening to you, 90% of that, they're going to notice 90% of your body language, 7% of your tonality, and 3% of what you actually said. I find that very interesting. 90% is body language. So clearly you need to be able to see this person if they're telling the story. And 7% is tonality, the tone of voice that they were using when they said it, and only 3% of what they actually said.
So content doesn't mean crap.
Well, in a way, I guess you could interpret it that way. I think that it means that, you know, another way to put this is that when somebody tells you a story, if you think back to the actual story, you'll remember it, but more importantly, you will remember how you felt when they told you that story.
I look at it like being hypnotized. You can only be hypnotized if you really want to be hypnotized, like if you're open to it. So it's kind of like receiving a story. Only if you even want to receive it will you actually even pay attention to what's being said. I know that this will happen all the time with couples, especially, or just in every day. People will just start talking, thinking about what they have to say. The other person really wants to think about it that moment. Happens all the time. They're in the middle of doing something else that they wanted to accomplish, whatever, and you almost have to make a conscious effort to just shift focus. Okay, bang. Now I'm here, now I'm present. And it's through the body language. If the person's here, and the other person's here, and you're like, okay, yeah, what are you going to do? You know? You clearly, through that body language, you know that the other person's not interested. But there's still... Will people catch on to that? Some people are just clueless. I mean, I don't mean that like in a bad way. I just mean like you could be this happens to me a lot in the retail industry. It used to happen all the time. People would come into me and they'd actually be talking to me. They would just take a phone call. I would walk and I'm in a sales position. I just walk away. I just feel like, well, clearly, you know, your time over there is more important with what you got going on there. So I'll just come back. And I would just walk away, and then, you know, clearly I wouldn't just wait around and hover around like they were, you know, it and a bit in their own world. I'd just be like, okay, bye. You know, and then I'd go make some money, and then I'd come back to them and take their money too.
Yeah. Yeah, see, you know, clearly body language is, you know, it's extremely powerful, and, you know, we need to capture people's attention if we want to empower somebody with our story. If we want to share our message with somebody. So
look at movie trailers.
Yeah.
Look at a movie trailer. What they'll do is they'll give you all the big wow pops, like the best part of the movie, and then they go into part of the story, especially if it's an action movie. You just want the best highlights of the action, and then you get right to it, and then comes in the story. You know, if it was, you know, a Die Hard movie, you know, we want all the explosions and gunshots and car crashes and everything, and then we'll get a little bit about who the bad guy is. Then cool, sure. You know, but look at like a James Bond movie. Even the movie itself, it's mostly action. Then they capture your attention. Then they trickle in a little bit of the story. Way more action. A little bit more story again. And then it gets really boring. Then they do a lot more action, and then they end it. That's every James Bond movie ever made right there, in a nutshell. And
it works. They position themselves in front of the right target market, and it works to tell the story. And I think that's why people love watching television and they love watching movies, because they get taken on a journey and they can relate. Even if the story isn't true, even if the movie isn't true, people will definitely, you know, relate to that. I don't watch much TV. We don't watch much TV. We watch our cat over there.
I saw a leg up. You guys can't see this, but
she's got her leg sticking out.
That's actually a leg going right here.
Yeah, she joins us every week now. Yeah. She knows what time the hangout's on, but you know, I like watching The Biggest Loser sometimes, and the reason for that is because I like to see the emotional journey that people have gone through on that show.
Well,
because most of it is about the mindset. It's not about doing the exercises and actually losing the weight, because it all starts in the mind. And I like to see the fight that they go through week in, week out, and look at where they started and look at where they ended up, and that truly inspires me. I look at that, and you know, I'll watch an episode sometimes and I'm bawling my eyes out, because I see this person that's hated themselves their entire life, and they've come on this show and they've found themselves, and they're happy with how they look. They feel good. They have a new confidence. They're a new person. That person was always there, but the show brought that out. So, you know, that's just one instance where that gets my attention. That you know, that gets my emotions going. So
well, there's also like another different part of this story that she's not telling, is that The Biggest Loser will be on, and then there's ice cream as well.
Not to mention, they used to have my favorite trainer on, Jillian Michaels. I love Jillian Michaels.
It's like a guilty pleasure that I think Americans have. They'll watch The Biggest Loser while they're eating crap food.
I work out every day, almost every day, so I don't feel bad about things like that. But you know, my favorite personal trainer is on there, and it's my goal in life to be trained by her one day. I want that. I would love to be trained by her. So. But with that being said, we've got Tim joining us today. How you doing, Tim? I don't know if we can hear you or not. Can we hear you? I think you've got to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Oh, I think you just muted yourself again. There we go. Now we can hear you, I think.
Yeah?
Yep.
Well, here's Lola.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah, it's been tough to get on. I'm trying to meet with you guys, and actually, it's going to be great to see you guys next week.
Yeah. It's good to have you on. Good to have you on today. Do you, you know, what are your thoughts on compelling storytelling and how to attract the right people into your business with storytelling? What's your experiences with that?
Not much yet, but just what I'm seeing, all the other guys like David Wood and all those guys are all about the story, and I just always feel like I don't really have a story because I'm just kind of been going through life average with everything, really. So when I hear some of the other stories, it's like, wow, you can't believe what they've been through and what they've overcome, and it's definitely a good thing, the stories. But like I said, I always have a trouble trying to talk about myself, and
yeah.
You know.
Well, you know, I think what we actually sell is change.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is change, and yeah. But I mean, you actually do have a cool story. I mean, for like, if I could pick like one, well, actually not just me, but a lot of guys in general. If you were to talk to like, especially hockey fans, if you could say what's the one job that would be like the coolest job to do, you actually get to do it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, to actually, you know, be like, you know, an ice technician, so to speak. You know, you actually pretty much know all the ins and outs of that business, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty fun, but that's been my life since I was a kid. I started playing hockey. I remember, I think I was like 3 years old, and I walked in front of my dad in the TV, and it was like, I can't remember, but I think it was like Montreal and Boston playing, and I just saw the TV, and it was like, wow, that's hockey. That's cool. And I've been involved ever since. And now that I'm like too old to be a player, except for the beer leagues, which I'm still doing, I've been interested in the ice. So I ended up working in that and learning all about that and taking care of the ice and making good ice. And my last job was working, or last year we had an American League team here, Calgary Flames farm team. So that's the highest level of hockey I've worked the ice for, which is the next to the NHL. So it's pretty cool, learning a lot from those guys.
Yeah, I mean, just right now, you told a small part of your story without even realizing that that's what you did.
Exactly. Yes.
It really was.
That's a good one.
Yeah, this is great for everybody that's watching this live because, as Tim said, he thought he didn't have a story. And at the beginning of this hangout, I mentioned that most people think that. A lot of people do, and I was actually one of those people as well because I didn't have this drastic, you know, like painful story, and clearly Tim feels the same way. And just by us, you know, engaging with him, he was able to tell a small part of his story, and, you know, I think that's pretty cool. Like, he went in front of the TV when he was 3 years old and said, you know, I want to do that, and look what you did. I mean, if you told that story in front of the right audience, they would be inspired by that.
Yeah. I wasn't watching the Zamboni guy, though. I was watching the winning Stanley Cup goal.
Yeah.
I want to screw that
Well,
ball.
I mean, now that you've actually been a skater, you've actually been a player, you've skated on the ice and everything, you know what perfect ice feels like, you know what it does for the players, you know what it does for the sport. I mean, if not, you're going to be watching roller hockey if you don't have good ice, which that will get boring real fast. Like, it'll still be exciting, but not as exciting, you know?
Well,
So,
no, I've played that too, but yeah, it's definitely way better on ice. But
yeah,
like,
there's certain sounds and stuff that go into it that make it the game that it is. You know, hearing the blaze and seeing the ice fly up, it's when someone's checking someone up against the boards and everything, when you get to see the big blast of ice that goes with it, that's actually one of the cool parts of it,
yeah, so that's the one thing I have an advantage of is I've been on all kinds of ice, good ice, bad ice, so I know what I'm trying to give to the guys, and I try to give that to all my groups. And at the one building I was just working at, we had a midget girls tournament, and then some people go, oh, girls hockey, right? But I don't care. I still try to give them the best, whether it's the little kids or the big pros. Try and give them all the best ice possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, why don't you tell a little bit about the story of how you made the decision to start working online? What was it that made you make that decision? What was the core desire behind that? If you can share that with us.
I know there's a different way of doing things other than working. Like I work right now 4 jobs regularly, and I have 5 that other 5th one always kind of gets in there every once in a while. So I'm working around the clock trying to make ends meet, and I feel like I'm not really actually getting anywhere, like advancing our life for my family. And I just know that there's a different way to do it. And I started looking online, finding these people that seem to be doing something different, and they think differently, and they act differently than the regular people going to work every day. So it doesn't matter how many jobs I have, I only get paid a certain dollar per hour, and even if that was $1,000 an hour, you can make 24,000 a day, and there's no other way to do it. Well, there is another way to do it, but if you're trading time for money, there isn't. So I know there's a different way, and I know there's different lifestyles. If you just start looking at like the Rob Report or something like that, where lately I've been looking at the Bugattis, and they're like pretty cool, but they're making them, so that means somebody's buying them, and they're like $1 million a pop. So I want to find out how those guys are doing it. They're not thinking like me, like I have been thinking. I'm learning different ways of thinking, but it takes a while to get it into you so you can start passing it on or actually living that new way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think too that when you look back, Tim, to like the times like with your business as well, like whenever things have just been flowing for you and you've been on fire with everything, it just felt like it's just coming natural to you. If you look back to what you were doing daily before that, what would you really say that would you think that it had a lot to do with what you're doing daily as far as personal development, fueling your brain with good content every day? Or, and just blocking out all the other crap that was just coming your way? Would that be a lot of what was leading up to that as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still haven't had a lot of success online, but I'm working on it. And like you say, part of that is the reading the books and the listening to the audios. And you have to really, well, it's true. All of what the guys are saying is that you need to grow on the inside first. So you can't really change your life until what you believe and what you're putting in starts to manifest itself to come back out. And I don't know. It's the reading and the different way of thinking is what when you read all this stuff, it does change. And what I found, it's probably been a couple of years. I just unplugged myself from basically the mainstream TV and all that stuff. I'll still watch the odd hockey game, or like today we watched part of the Seahawks game and it was very exciting. But
yeah, they won.
Yeah, luckily, or not luckily, but just by the skin. But anyways, that you can't just bog yourself down with all the stuff that's going on out there. You got to block it out and start just putting in the good stuff and keep doing it.
Exactly.
You have to do it long enough for it to take hold.
Yeah, definitely. And just on that, when we've been talking about money, you know, we've got our income disclosure at the bottom of this page. You know, our results are not typical. We don't guarantee any type of results. You know, it's up to you and how hard you want to work to your success. If you do decide to join our community by hitting that button below this video right now, you know, you can go to income.mavericslifestyles.com and check out our live income disclosure. As proudly we can say, we are the only affiliate marketing community online that has a live income disclosure that is updated every 24 hours. You won't go there and see an income disclosure from 2010. You'll see what's actually happening right now, which is great. And, you know, when you take a look, the average earnings are for average people, and you are not average. And everybody here today is not average either. And, you know, as Tim mentioned, you know, it is an inside job first. You know, a lot of people don't actually get that. It is an inside job, and that, you know, includes daily reading, daily audios, you know, filling your mind with positive, you know, encouraging, inspiring information instead of a lot of the negativity and crap and garbage that you see on TV. That's not going to help you towards your success, you know. And you know, I love your reason why you got started online, Tim. It's very similar to Stephanie's. You know, you wanted to get your time back with your family, with your kids. You know, time is our most valuable commodity, and that's a huge reason why people decide to join our community, is because they're tired of slaving away for somebody else, and they want to get their time back, and they realize that it is a journey. It's not going to happen straight away, you know, but if you stick with it and you do daily actions towards results and fill your mind with positivity and, you know, the right type of educational tools and trainings which we provide, you know, that you can get your hands on right now by hitting that button below, you too can be on your way to building yourself and your family a legacy. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I know that, like, I've known Tim for a couple years now, as far as in the space. I think about about a year and a half, 2 years, I think, right now. Yeah. And you know, Tim's you know, always eager to learn, which is always great. And I think that that's another one of the key to it is, you know, eager to jump at the bit, chomp at the bit, you know, eager to take in new experiences as they come your way. I remember seeing some pictures one time of him like doing meditation or yoga pretty much, you know, beside this huge pool down in Orlando, you know, with people as well, you know, and all like-minded people as well. But it was something, I'm sure that you weren't doing that every day up in Canada, you know, so it was something, well, you might be, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know, but...
Yoga on ice, that's a new one. Maybe you could...
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, I just got a new idea.
Yeah, that's extreme yoga right there.
That is. Hot yoga, Bikram yoga, you could do ice yoga somehow.
Yeah,
yeah, it would be intense for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think too that just once you start on the path and on the excuse me, on the journey, you know, there's nothing that's going to stop you and get in your way. You know, other than yourself, you are the only person that can get in your way. Nobody else can really get in your way once you just start. Mm-hmm. And that's what's always been fascinating to me about it, is that as people come into this space, and the feeling of that making that first sale is more powerful than pretty much making the $1 million. Yes. You know, the feeling of making that first sale, and I think we were talking to Erica about this the other day. We were talking to our friend Erica about this, and I know exactly where I was at the minute that I was at, like to the minute where I was at, how I felt like before it, and then immediately what I felt like afterwards, and how I knew that at that moment how my life was going to change. I knew right then and there. I knew, because that feeling of accomplishment for making the first sale was immense compared to a lot of the other subsequent sales that we've had afterwards. Where I'm like, okay, all right. You know, it's like, oh, we got another number. I'm like, yeah, I know. I got the notification too. Like, I got the email. But like looking back, the feeling doesn't get old, because I always look back at how I felt when I got that first one, and that one was just, I mean, it was ear to ear grin. It was like 1:45 in the morning. You know, it was like 1:45 in the morning. And I was just laying there with my laptop out, and I was just exhausted because I, worked a really long day, and then I came home and was like, I'll be damned, I'm going to put up some ads, and this is what I'm going to do. And I made certain campaigns, and I set up a follow-up series with everything, and then I actually had some success early on because I was actually really good at making some ads. And the one place I actually made some ads was Craigslist time. And I made some ads on Craigslist, and I was pulling in like 30 leads a day from each ad. So I was building at the beginning just hand over fist. And I knew I had done the math on it. I was like, well, if I get this amount of leads, and if I get this amount if I get this amount of leads, which lead into X amount of sales, I'm going to have X amount of conversions even going higher. This amount of people are going to go even further into it, and this is how many upsells I'm going to have. And it worked. And once I set everything up, I was like, holy cow, this actually worked because I put the right message out to people. Now, I busted my butt for like 2 months before that learning everything that I needed to learn, but I didn't apply anything. And finally one day I was like, well, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to apply it. And I was the guy that had to like know everything and make sure everything was perfect and it had to be a certain way. And I got to know the whole big picture of how this thing works. But what's funny to that though is I'll get in my car every day and I don't know how the dynamic traction control works to keep me on the road when I'm flying around a turn at like 80 miles an hour like an idiot. But my car stays on the road because it's got all this fancy electronics on it. I don't know how that stuff works. It just does. But I trust that it's there, and I'm putting my life on the line with it. So it's fascinating to me that it's no different online. Like when I go online, I'm like, I don't need to know how it works. I just need to put my butt in the seat and put gas in the thing and make sure it's going. And that's the way I looked at leads for my business. Was I just got to put leads into this thing and to get the result that I want and make this thing move.
Yeah. It's always the people.
But it was my action too.
Well, that's exactly
or lack thereof that stifled me for the first couple months.
Yeah. It's the people that say, "Does this work?" That's really the wrong question you should be asking.
The answer is yes.
The question
you should ask that question.
Yeah. Well, to me, if somebody asks that question, what they're doing is actually doubting themselves from the beginning. It works. Everything works. Nothing doesn't. And the question actually is, do you work? My response to that question, that's where I was going with that. It's not about,
There's other things, too. Like, the question I would say, okay, yes, this works, but can it work for me? Like, would I be a good fit for Mary Kay Cosmetics or, like anything like that? No. Like, I have, like...
You know that many males within the cosmetic, multi-level marketing do really well because they're males.
You know why it wouldn't work for me? Number one, I have the wrong mindset about it, so there's the key.
Yeah,
but number two,
and you don't use the products.
I'm the guy that still uses like bar soap in my hair sometimes. Like if I'm in a hurry and I just have a bar of soap, I'm like, yep, you're getting done here. Yep, I'm done. Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
So, like, the least I'm going to be worried about is a powder and foundation and what the difference is between it all. Because
you don't believe in the product, so it's not going to work for you. So, I get it.
I mean, I could sell ice to an Eskimo. I actually could. I believe that I could. But I just I'm sexist. I have no desire to sell makeup. So.
That's right. I mean, you've got to have the belief behind what it is that, you're selling and what it is that you actually want to do, what your intention is behind it, and you got to work. This is not something that today you had the football on, and
rarely
this just never happens. And we were flicking the channels, and this infomercial came on.
This blew my mind.
It came on for, it's called Internet Secrets, and of course it caught our eye because it was to do with online marketing. And this person was selling a collection of, I think it was CDs or DVDs, which is great. I'm not knocking this at all. But what I found interesting was that the entire ad almost, there was not one single income disclosure said or put at the bottom of the page until the very, very end, after they'd said that all you do is wake up in the morning and open your laptop and the money starts rolling in.
Yeah, I heard that. That's actually the words that were used. They said,
yeah,
it's as easy, and they used the words easy, which is just asking for the FTC to come and just kick down your door with a lawsuit. And they said, the words they said was, it's as easy as waking up in the morning, opening up your laptop, and watching the money pour in.
And when I heard
and
that,
I was like,
I cringed. I thought, oh, wow, this is, and this is where people, this is where our industry, has challenges, and we've spoken about this many times. It's our mission to go out there and explain to people that this is not easy. If everybody could open their laptop and money rolled out of it, don't you think everyone would be doing it?
I will tell you that it becomes easier.
Yes.
After you put your butt in front of your laptop and you learn what you need to learn. And the difference is that everything, we have what you need already here. You don't have to go. Can you find some of these techniques maybe elsewhere online? Sure. You're going to be wasting a lot of your time and digging through everything else with all the distractions, and then actually filtering out the good from the bad, versus having basically a toolbox that you can go in. You can go into a back office, which, if you don't know what a back office is, that's basically just a login onto a certain website, which is your own space. You can log into a back office. You can get the education and information that you need. You can go through daily trainings for everything. There's actually, it's already set in place for you. And then you have to put your butt to work. You have to do what it says to do. And that's it. That's how you make it work for you. You just have to do what it says to do. Now, are you going to get frustrated at times? Absolutely. You will. Like anything new. And like anything new. Like the first day at a new job. Remember going to a new job? And Tim, since you've had 5, or you have 5, you'll know. The first day at a new job, it goes so fast that first day because it's new. It's something new, and people like new. It's exciting for them. And sometimes it's not without a challenge, though. But at the end of the day, when it's all done, you come out on the other side of it, and you're better off for it. You're actually better off. You've went through it, you overcame, you realized that it was easier than you thought that it was going to be, or it might have been really, really hard. Let's say you're starting a new workout program, and it's something that where you've never pushed your body that hard. Well, it's going to be hard work going into it. Heck, they sell you the Insanity program and stuff. They sell it to you, telling you that it's not for many people. They just straight up and say, look, it's not for everybody, but it will kick the crap out of you. And that's how they market it. They're like, if you want something that's going to kick the snot out of you, this is what we have, and this will do it. And that's what people are attracted to. Whoa.
That's me. I go, yeah, I want that.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, give me that. But and once you've done one workout, you know that what you've got in for you. But you know that what you become addicted to is the feeling when you're done. When you're done doing that workout and you're breathing better, after a couple of days, your skin's looking better. You're more radiant. You can think clearer. Well, in my instance, when I went through Insanity, my legs still hurt. My legs always hurt through that whole program. I didn't stretch enough, and there wasn't enough stretching on the shins in that program. But that's for a whole other debate on that. But I was better off. I mean, I lost 25 pounds. I did. Yeah. I lost 25 pounds doing that program, and it's something where it was great. I felt amazing. Who doesn't want that? But I knew every time that I was about ready to go into an hour to an hour and a half of kicking my butt stuff going on. But I had someone that was there on the TV that I could relate to, and I was like, okay, well, if this lazy guy can do it, I can do it. Because some of the people in there, you watch the video and you're like, damn it, you're yelling at the TV going move, dude, stop being a weenie.
Yeah, it all boils down to thinking about the outcome, holding on to that core desire of what you want, and thinking about how you're going to feel when you achieve it. You know, it completely outweighs what you went through to get there. You know, and it comes back to that saying that I like to say that Mel Robbins said, you know, when it comes to what you want, if you listen to how you feel, you're never going to get it because you'll never feel like it.
Is Mel the lady that had the FU?
Yes.
Yeah.
She had like she had the FU presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
The F. And it's not the word you're thinking of either. The word is fine. But that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, when it comes to getting what you want, if you think about how you feel, you're actually never going to get it because you're never going to feel like it. I mean, who feels like getting up and knowing they're about to go through some crazy workout? Well, actually, people like me do sometimes, actually, but most people don't feel like doing that. You know, they think about what's involved in achieving the result, and they don't feel like doing it. But if they don't do it, they're not going to get that result. So I really love that saying, you know, and, you know, that's what it comes down to. You know, what do you want? What is it that you want right now? If there's something that you want, and our community can enable you to, you know, free your life to be able to get what you want, and, you know, the experiences and, you know, just anything in your life that you truly desire can be actually possible when you get inside our community and, you know, hit the button below and take a look at what we actually have to offer and the education that's inside here. Because, you know, this wonderful world of online marketing is just fascinating, and the people you get to surround yourself with and the personal growth that comes with it is just incredible. So, you know, on that note, before we close out, if we want to go around and anyone has some final thoughts before we close out on storytelling, Stephanie, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share?
Okay. Wow, a lot of things, great things were shared today. But I think the one core information that resonated with me was that it's about perspective. Now, when we are living our life or creating changes or doing stuff on a day-to-day basis, it feels as though that it's just humdrum, it's gray area, nothing exciting, it's just a process. But fact of the matter is, something happened recently with me where, like, I was raising my kids, and, you know, I know my children, I know how they behave, I know how they respond to certain situations. So to me, it's just everyday thing. I mean, I took it for granted. And then my younger sister came, and she was visiting from Hong Kong, and she thought everything they did was so cute. She had her smartphone with her, taking pictures, taking videos, posting on Facebook, posting on our emails, sending pictures to my other family members. And I thought that was a bit odd. But here's the thing, guys. We do things every day to improve ourselves. But you never know who's watching us. You never know who gets inspired by what we do, inspired by our actions. But the only way we're going to find out, oh, I just inspired someone, it is just going out there and sharing. We could share on a video, we could share on our Facebook, we could share with our pictures, we could blog about it. It's not so much important what the content is. What's important is that we're going out there, taking action, even if it's like a mediocre change. It makes a whole lot of difference to someone who's just seeking high and low, anywhere, for that inspiration. Okay? So that's, I think, number one, perspective is very important. And number two is just making a decision and say, I'm going to do this. You know, I'm not going to look for the opportunity. I'm just going to do it. And just make a commitment to, make a commitment with yourself. That's all about your mindset. Make a commitment to yourself and then go for it. Okay? So I think that was like the first initial step that we should all take. And, think about the perspective. Think about what's watching you. Think about taking action in a mindset of helping someone, in the mindset of being a servant to someone, being in the mindset of providing service to someone. Okay? All right. That's it for me.
That's definitely some great points you brought up there for sure, Stephanie. You know, but that's what this is all about. We're here to serve. We're here to help. We're here to transform people's lives, and through the art of storytelling and perspective, you know, all those things that you just mentioned, you know, we are able to do that.
Yeah, I know that the shift in perspective is a lot to do with it. Is, you know, finding a way to just change your way of thinking or your way of looking at something, and you'll, whether it's in this field or anything, you'll start looking at stuff different with your children. You know, going online and just the personal growth that I've gone through. You know, I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. You know, even all the way down to like a cellular level. You know, they're not the same cells that are there. You know, you know, I don't know why my nose still looks the same as it does, but you know, but it's yeah, you know, but we're all, as we grow, we're not the same people. And the reason why we all went online, the reason why, like if you've already joined us already, the reason why you went online is because you wanted something different. You know, either you wanted something different, excuse me, as far as a different vehicle to accelerate your business further. You know, if you wanted to just learn as much as you could to basically have a new profession, because, you know, any kidding aside or anything, this is a true profession. You know, no matter how it might be presented or disguised, this is not a hobby. This is not something that we just, you know, I just threw up a few ads and that was it. You know, no, this is a true profession. This is a new career. You know, and we were talking to someone the other day about this, and you know, how to know when you're actually doing this correctly is if you were basically look at, if you were this as the CEO of your own business, or if you were to walk in and see you performing the work or lack thereof of what you're doing in your business, would you fire yourself? Would you keep you? What would you do? Would you put yourself on basically like a suspension? Would you be like, you know, some hardcore sales training initiatives? Like, what would be going on with that? You know, and I think that that's critical to look at it this way, that this is a profession. You know, you're the one that's going to put your butt in the seat to do the work. You're the one that's going to have to do it. No one's going to make you do it. Like even now, you know, Alesha doesn't hound me all the time just to, you know, to go do certain things. You know, we bounce ideas back and forth off of each other, you know. Unless it's, you know, something basic around the house, very rarely will I ever get hounded. It's like, you know, towards the business. It's like if we don't do the work, we simply don't. The work doesn't get done, and our income is going to reflect that. Which really, if you don't go to work in the morning, if you don't go to the job, what happens to your income? It goes down. You know, so whatever the reason was,
I can't just agree.
Yeah,
with
she
us.
agrees. And the cat's meowing in agreement for that. You tell them. But, you know, if you got to put your butt, 90% of it's just showing up. The other 10% gets easy from there. It really is, because the work itself will take care of it. Because you showed up, you're there. What other choice you got to do? You got to do it. You know, you show up for a workout, you don't get 2 minutes into it and then just ask for this. You know, you just tough it out. You get it done. You know, so you know, through storytelling, I think the whole basis of this hangout was actually really good, because you are more important than you think. You know, people that are out there will find commonalities with you, no matter who it is. You'll find some way to relate to people out there, and the people are amazing. They'll just find you. Like, you'll find people randomly that you don't know. I know that Alesha put this cool thing up on her blog where it's just a live traffic feed of people coming all over the world. And then when you see that, you're like, damn, I didn't know I had that much people coming in there. And just to give you guys like we all know that being online is powerful, but sometimes you don't know how powerful it is. And like how it relates to like a standard like brick and mortar store or business. Let's say, I know that within like the last couple of weeks, you know, your personal blog's been getting like a fairly decent amount of traffic. You know, it was like over 1,400 people in a week. Which, now if you do the math on this, an average business, like brick and mortar, You know, it just depends. And it's like certain places like Starbucks, McDonald's, but like a standard like business. Let's say standard business in San Francisco, getting foot traffic. You know, whatever. Even if it's a bakery, they're gonna get roughly, let's say, 70 sales a day coming through, like coming into them. They're gonna roughly have about 140 people come through the door every day. If you were actually count foot traffic, people coming in and people going out. That's like a 50% close ratio on those people, like how many people actually bought something or took an action in the store. So they sold about 50% of it. Now, that's 2 times 7, that's 1,400 people going through there. You know, so it's roughly the same as far as business goes. It's just where's your traffic coming from? It's just a shift of perspective is all it is. There's no difference because even online, people are a destination location. They're landing on your stuff for a reason. Whether that's to learn more about you, learn more about your story, learn more about your product, whatever it is. You know, there's a reason why they're there, and don't discredit the fact that people are there. That's actually a huge accomplishment. You know, so if people are already there, you know, what kind of experience are they having when they come to see you? You know, what do they get? What do they get? You know, so people discredit, you know, blogging. You know how powerful it really is. It's like, well, that's 1,400 people that you didn't have to leave your house to drive to go to a job to interact with people. You did it all from home, from really about, you know, I'd say about truly about 2 hours of work a day.
Yeah.
I mean, like when you think about the actual time sitting down and actually focusing on it, about 2 solid hours of work. Like, and I suck at syndicating my stuff. Like, I suck at it, but Alesha's really good at it. But I'm actually really good at writing and creating content like, I'm actually really good at doing that. So I could do that, and then she could syndicate the stuff for me, and she's a whiz with it. And like, I don't know how she does a lot of it. I just let her go because that's part of the business that she liked to learn. And she was really good at it. So just seeing where traffic comes from now has actually been really cool. But before, we used to discredit blogging. Like, we used to discredit having your own website, telling your own story. And I used to joke about it too. I'm like, well, no, there's got to be something different the gurus people are out there really doing. Like, what are these leaders out there really doing? Like, there's something different they're doing. And I was like, there's got to be something different. Like, we don't know it all yet. But really, now that I see it, I'm like, well, crap. I was wrong. It really is that simple.
I mean, a couple of hours work and 1,400 people looking at something, and that number's only going to increase over time. You know, that's just the initial baby numbers, and that number's going to increase over time, and that content is there forever as long as I have that blog. And I didn't even have to go anywhere to show it to them. I didn't have to do a home party. I didn't have to turn up at my brick and mortar store. I didn't have to make any cold calls. That content is there for that person to see, and it's so powerful. I mean, there's a ton of reasons why blogging is so powerful, but in the terms of what we're talking about today, you know, you can have thousands of people looking and hearing your story because you've posted that on your blog. You can make videos and messages and content about your story, parts of your life to inspire people, and thousands of people can look at that at any time while you're even sleeping, and you could possibly make money from that because people will begin to know, like, and trust you. I mean, is there anything better?
Exactly. You know, look at what's going to happen with now that we just had the championship games for football here in America, watch what's going to happen in like 2 weeks. Within the next 2 weeks, you're going to see the networks. I don't even know who's hosting this year, but you're going to see all the networks start doing story pieces on a lot of the players, story pieces on the teams, how the season was, how they got there. You know, what's going on behind the scenes? What's the family life of someone like the star quarterbacks? You know, what are the star wide receivers? Like, what's going on in their lives? And you're going to see storytelling. Like, where did they go out and do charitable stuff and help people out with? And what was the good that they brought to the country and to their community? And you're going to see all this storytelling come out just to captivate people. And then in the midst of all that, it's going to be smothered with ads everywhere. But, you know, but people are going to buy stuff because they were captivated on their couches watching the stories.
And they feel good.
And they still stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So storytelling is a lot more powerful than people give credit for.
Yeah.
It's only how society was actually molded.
That's right.
Since eons ago, like since people could speak.
Yeah. And often people discredit successful people and say that they're lucky or they just had it handed to them. But particularly with those football players, we see the glory, but we often don't know the story. And through that story, we find out where they came from, the struggles they went through, that they may still be going through, and it inspires people. It makes people feel good. So that's an important point that you brought up. That's exactly what's going to happen, and that's what this is all about. We're here to inspire people. So Tim, do you have any final thoughts before we close out?
Well, I took a couple little notes when we were talking about the easy. Everyone wants to open the laptop and watch the money coming in, looking for the big easy button. But I think some of it's kind of simple, but you have to learn it, and there's a learning curve. But if you don't put the work in, that's where they get mixed up between what's easy, and still have to learn something and take the action and put the work in. Because if you're not working, like you say, nothing's going to come back. And like you were saying, John, about learning. Like I've been learning a lot lately, but not applying. So this year my new thing was to start applying, and I started my 21-day challenge, and I tried to do it on the 1st, but it flipped over to midnight, so it was the 2nd when I hit my first publish, and now I've got, the 18th? Tonight's going to be my 17th vlog when I finish writing that, and that's more than I've done in the last 2 years just on that one thing. So I'm excited about that, but now I can't stop. It's got to continue on. It's like we're talking about the reading, and my favorite thing is, I can't remember who said it again, but the 30-30-30, the 30 minutes of reading and 30 minutes of audio for 30 days. Well, I still haven't made it to 30 because something always happens and I miss a day, but I start over again, continue on. But my 21 days isn't going to get broken, and then I'll continue on from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the 21-day blogging challenge, I'm actually doing that myself, and I think the group, I started on the day 1. I think we're at day 19 right now, so you're pretty close. I think you're only a day behind us, but the idea behind the 21-day challenge is it roughly takes around 21 days to instill a habit in somebody. And you just mentioned that it's something that you can't stop doing now because it's been instilled in your brain. That's an actual habit now. It's part of your lifestyle. It's something that you include in your day-to-day activities. And I think that's really important to note, that when you do something every day and take action, it becomes a habit. It becomes part of your life, and eventually you'll start seeing results.
Yeah, it's like tying your shoes. The first time you tried it as a kid, how many times did you can't even think how many times you had to go back to learn how to tie your shoes. And if you're a parent, when you've taught someone how to do that, the reward that they go through of the sense of achievement, just from something as simple as tying their shoes, is like, yes, I'm the master of my shoe. You're like, but it's like way more exciting for that like way more exciting. But that's how it is now we take it for granted how easy we can reach down and just tie our shoes. Boom, we're on the, it's just part of what we do. And that's part of, now Tim's, you've gone through logging in, and actually you had to spend a couple of minutes, probably a good couple of hours at first, because setting up your blog, even with the new Commonality system, it's actually really easy to set everything up. The hardest part is just choosing what you want to call it and like what do you want to describe this as.
The one time we will say easy is with the Commonality blog, because it is easy to set up.
Oh, it's simple. Yeah. So, and then once you've gone back in and you've actually just taken the steps, now you just keep adding little bits and pieces. You can whip a blog post out easy if you have your mind set on the message that you want to deliver. Then it's just letting the fingers fly. you know, and then it becomes easy at that point through repetition. And now you're actually looking forward to it, you know, to put it out there. And for Tim, for you, I would go back in and what's the one spot that we have in the back office where you can learn more about syndication on it, because that's probably what would help him get more traction.
Well, we have multiple products where you can check out syndication methods. I mean, you know, the 15K formula definitely has that, which will no longer be available at the time of this recording after tomorrow, after the 19th of January, I do believe, because we are, you know, switching up our core products. And the Costa Rica as well, I think, definitely has some syndication methods as well.
So go back in there and just check out some of those, just so you
still get access to that stuff, though, right?
Yeah, if you already own it. Yeah, if you've already bought it.
Yes. If you already own the particular Empower Network products, the core products of right now, with some of the new ones that are replacing them, you will still get access to those, and you will also get access to the new ones. So, which is pretty cool.
It's also actually right now, like if you're someone that's out there that is, you know, your credit card's hovering outside of your wallet and you're ready to just hit the button that's down below, when you go there, go into your back office and buy the master's course. You can actually right now, for all of the products, the complete product suite, there's actually a $500 discount on top of the package price for all the products at once. It's a 7-day window that they'll normally give you to buy everything all at one shot. And now there's actually, for the next day, there's going to be another $500 discount on top of this. So you can get all of the products that we currently offered for $500 cheaper than the package price that's currently offered, which is actually saving you probably about $2,500 if you were to buy them individually.
I got it for.
Yep. So.
And once you do that, you get instant access to the 3 products that are we're switching over to, and that's around like a $10,000 value there. You will get those products because you are now all in. I mean, that's just an absolutely amazing offer. So if you're watching this right now, you need to hit that button below and get in right now so you can secure your spot before the 19th, which is tomorrow. And if you're watching this after that fact, that's okay too. You can still get in and get started with the core products that we have. So I think, you know, with that being said, we're going to close out today. We got any final thoughts? That's it.
Once upon a time. No.
Storytelling, yeah. You know, so it's been great. I think there's been some amazing golden nuggets dropped on this hangout from everybody that's been involved. You know, we want to thank everybody for coming out today, everyone that's watching and everyone here on the panel. And, you know, we really want you all to know that, you know, your story is very powerful and it is your greatest asset. And as soon as you start telling it and you step into that power, you will eventually inspire people. I mean, we pretty much saw a live example of Tim when he told his story there. It was probably the first time that he told it the way that he did because he didn't think he had one. And already now I'm sure he's feeling more powerful and is able to go out there and share more of his story because he just started to share it. So that's all it takes. And, you know, right now you can get in and get started and tell your story on our brand new Kalatu Viral Blogging System blog. And you can share your message, you know, with the world on the biggest for-profit blogging platform across the globe. So, I mean, on that note, you know, click the button below, get started, and we will see you next time on the Rogue Hangout. Thank you all for coming out, and have an awesome day or an awesome night or an awesome morning, wherever you are in the world.
And week or less now. Friday. See you Friday.
All right, see you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Oh, what is it?
Yeah.